A Chinese open-weight model just claimed 84.5% on CyberGym, ahead of the closed frontier names in Z.ai's own table. Today we also have OpenAI selling speed as the new frontier, Google moving AI privacy into encryption, and AI stocks proving the trade is no longer one story. The headline is Z.ai's GLM-5.3. The official post went live on August 14th, and the community noticed immediately. The Hacker News story crossed 978 points in the last 24 hours, far ahead of the other AI links I found. Z.ai says GLM-5.3 uses the same base model as GLM-5.2, and that the improvement comes from scaling post-training. More task environments, more diverse long-horizon work, and more compute spent training on those environments. The eye-catching number is cybersecurity. Z.ai reports 84.5% on CyberGym, up from 77.2% for GLM-5.2, and slightly above the table's figures for Mythos 5 and GPT-5.6 Sol. The company also says GLM-5.3 more than doubled GLM-5.2 on Exploit Bench, and that its disclosure ledger now tracks 2,436 vulnerability findings across 269 open-source projects, including 1,097 critical and high-severity issues. The caveat matters. These are vendor-reported numbers. Many findings remain under embargo, and the weights are not public today. Z.ai says it will release them in 2 weeks after safety evaluation and hardening. The real story is not just China catching up. It is an open-weight lab saying cyber capability is emerging fastest exactly where society is least comfortable with open release. OpenAI's freshest move is not a new benchmark trophy, but a new speed class. On August 13th, OpenAI previewed ultra-fast mode for GPT-5.6 Sol in the API, powered by Cerebras. The claim is up to 14 times faster than standard processing, with generation up to 750 output tokens per second, first in limited preview for selected customers. That is a different competitive axis. For the last year, Frontier Labs mostly competed on reasoning depth, context, and tool use. OpenAI is saying that if the most capable model can also answer in real time, it can move into incident response, voice support, commerce, financial research, and live experimentation. My read. This is OpenAI protecting the premium tier from cheap open models. If intelligence is getting commoditized, the moat shifts to latency, reliability, and distribution through the API. DeepSeek also made a concrete model move. Its official change log says DeepSeek V4-Pro has rolled out to app, web, and API, with the model named DeepSeek V4-Pro. The numbers DeepSeek lists are squarely agentic. Terminal Bench 2.1 at 87.9, in L2 repo at 61.5, CyberGym at 83.3, and Agent's last exam at 25.7. The other important line is pricing. DeepSeek says a new peak and off-peak API pricing system takes effect at 1600 hours Universal Time Coordinated on August 16th, with off-peak at half the peak hour price. That is a small operational detail with a big signal. The bargain model era is maturing into electricity-style demand management. Cheap models are no longer just cheap. They are starting to price congestion. Google's technical story today is privacy rather than raw model size. The Google security blog showcased AIR, an open-source compiler in its private computing toolkit. The promise is cryptographically secure private AI inference. Take a model that normally runs on plain text data and compile it so it can operate on encrypted inputs. Google highlights 4 demos, including private recommendations, credit card fraud detection, network intrusion detection on encrypted traffic, and hot word detection. The immediate product impact may be limited because homomorphic encryption still has cost overhead. But the strategic point is sharp. If AI is moving into healthcare, finance, security, and personal assistance, privacy cannot stay as a policy checkbox. It has to become an execution layer. On the company side, IBM and OpenAI announced a strategic enterprise partnership on August 13th. IBM says OpenAI frontier models like GPT-5.6 plus Codex and ChatGPT work will be embedded into IBM Consulting Advantage. The focus areas are legacy operations, application modernization, product development, cybersecurity, and AI risk management. IBM also says it will launch a dedicated OpenAI practice with thousands of consultants and engineers trained through OpenAI Partner Network certifications. Why this matters? OpenAI is not just trying to sell a better chatbot. It is borrowing IBM's regulated industry delivery muscle. The counterintuitive part is that enterprise AI may be less about model demos and more about who can survive procurement, integration, governance, and messy old systems. The second company story moves AI into the street. Uber and Pony.ai expanded their partnership with plans to deploy more than 2,000 Pony.ai robotaxis across Europe. The announcement says the work builds on Zagreb and targets 4 additional European cities, with Middle East deployment also in the plan. Pony.ai provides Level 4 autonomous driving technology and operational experience. Uber provides the ride-hailing platform, payments, customer access, and a network that can mix human drivers with autonomous vehicles. My read: this is not one more robotaxi pilot. It is an attempt to turn autonomy into a franchise model, where the vehicle tech, marketplace, and local fleet operator can be swapped by city. That is exactly how robotaxis move from demo route to operating system. For products, Google is changing how generated media gets marked. TechCrunch reports that Google will let users remove visible watermarks from AI-generated images, videos, and songs, while invisible SynthID watermarks and C2PA metadata remain in place. The toggle is expected in Gemini and Flow, with search support coming soon. In parallel, Google introduced Credentio, an open-source C++ library for local C2PA content credentials validation. Put the two together and the message is clear. Visible marks are becoming optional, but provenance is moving deeper into metadata, search, and local verification tools. That is more creator-friendly, but it also shifts trust from what a viewer can see to what platforms and validators can prove. Policy is colliding directly with today's top story. Axios reports that open-source AI models dodged the latest Trump administration framework for closed frontier models, but may not stay outside review as capabilities rise. The current framework reportedly defines covered frontier models around closed-source systems with state-of-the-art capabilities and national security risks. But officials are watching open models too, and an earlier presidential memorandum could shape standards for national security use, testing, evaluation, and risk management by September and October deadlines. The tension is now unavoidable. Open weights are strategically valuable because they diffuse power and help compete with China. They are also harder to recall once cyber-capable weights are everywhere. GLM-5.3 turned that policy abstraction into today's concrete problem. Markets closed mixed on August 14th. Facts only. Nothing here is investment advice. From a finance, AMD stood out, closing at $514.39, up 6.5% on the day. Micron rose 2.3% to $971.66. On the other side, Broadcom fell 5.94% to $392.99. Pony.ai slipped 2.28% to 8.14 after the Uber expansion news, and IBM closed down 1.19% at $234.32 after its OpenAI partnership announcement. The mega-cap platform names were quieter. NVIDIA was nearly flat at $225.16. Microsoft slipped 0.3%. Alphabet slipped 0.13%. Meta fell 0.86%. And Amazon fell 0.94%. The read-through is that the AI trade is becoming selective. Investors are no longer buying every AI label equally. Chip leverage, memory demand, enterprise services, and autonomy all traded as separate stories today. The second market story is under the data center floor, energy. TechCrunch reports that hyperscalers including Amazon, Google, Meta, and Microsoft have been leaning harder into natural gas for AI data centers, and that energy research firm Noreva sees gas prices potentially tripling in some U.S. hubs in coming years if AI-powered demand collides with slower supply growth and LNG exports. The article points to huge gas-linked projects, including Meta's 7.5 gigawatt Louisiana plant and Amazon's planned 7.6 gigawatt Texas plant. This matters because AI economics are not only about GPU price and model efficiency. If power becomes volatile, token costs can inherit commodity risk. The less obvious AI bottleneck may not be model quality. It may be the fuel bill behind the server. What to watch next? First, DeepSeek's new peak and off-peak pricing takes effect at 1600 hours Universal Time Coordinated on August 16th, so developer usage patterns may start shifting around time windows. Second, Z.ai says GLM-5.3 weights should become publicly available in 2 weeks after safety evaluation and hardening. That will be the real test of how open this release becomes. Third, keep watching whether OpenAI expands ultra-fast beyond the first customer group, because 750 tokens per second is only meaningful if capacity follows. And finally, watch Washington's September and October deadlines on open model evaluation. Today made clear that model release, cyber capability, and national security policy are now the same conversation. That is today's AI Daily. Open weight capability jumped. Speed became a product tier, privacy moved down into cryptography, and markets separated the AI winners from the AI labels. Subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow.